Welcome to the Positive Change Methods podcast with me, Andy Smith. Each episode will bring you tips, practical change formats, and new perspectives to make your life and work better right now, drawn from Appreciative Inquiry and related approaches. This episode is brought to you by the Practical Appreciative Inquiry Facilitator Training. Let me show you how to get started using Appreciative Inquiry confidently with teams and small groups. The next live online course starts soon. You can find the details and how to book your place at coachingleaders.co.uk. Okay, let's get started. Episode 16, Appreciative Interviews, a great way to discover what's already working. The best way to improve performance is to identify what's already working and do more of it. Here's how. One of the assumptions underpinning Appreciative Inquiry and any other positive change method is that in every human system, no matter how much trouble they appear to be in, there are some things that are working. This is true whether you're dealing with failing organizations, dysfunctional teams, or underperforming individuals. Looking for peak experiences and examples of great performance, even if they're only once in a blue moon or only happening partially, will give you more information about how to achieve success than any amount of problem analysis. The developers of Appreciative Inquiry came up with a highly effective procedure for helping individuals and groups to discover all that useful information and activate their empathic networks at the same time. That procedure is called the Appreciative Interview, and you can use it with individuals or with groups of any size. The Appreciative Interview has been described as the heart of Appreciative Inquiry. It really is the key activity of the discovery stage. Appreciative interviews are designed to collect rich qualitative information in the form of stories that carry a wealth of meaning and sometimes a powerful emotional charge, rather than dry quantitative data consisting of figures and statistics or bloodless abstractions. The aim of the Appreciative Interview, as with the whole of the discovery stage, is to uncover the forces that give life to the team or the organization. Why do we do Appreciative Interviews? Appreciative interviews are based on an agreed affirmative topic, so they're implicitly positive. They gather new and maybe previously overlooked information about what's already working well. Appreciative interviews raise people's morale by valuing their own personal experiences and contributions, making them more open to change. They raise the sense of what's possible in anticipation of the dream stage, where participants co-create a vision of the desired future. As they tell their stories and associate into their own positive reference experiences, people are more likely to come up with fresh insights than if they're asked to look at their experience in a detached and abstract way. You can actively engage large numbers of people at all levels of the organization as appreciative interviewers, helping them to understand people in different roles and at different levels in the organization better, and to internalize an appreciative mindset. The key factor in appreciative interviews, I believe, is this. The assumptions and positive language built into the questions influence both interviewee and interviewer towards a more positive state of mind. What appreciative interviewers need to know. In their book, Appreciative Inquiry, Change at the Speed of Imagination, Jane Magruder Watkins and Bernard Moore say this about how to be as an interviewer. Belief, rather than doubt, is the proper stance. This is not a time for skepticism or for questions that imply a need for proof. So the first thing you have to do is assume vitality and health rather than deficit. You're starting the interview off with the assumption that there are good things there to find, that the person has had some good or even great experiences in relation to the topic you're interviewing them about, and that some things in the system are working at least some of the time. One time I was teaching college lecturers about appreciative inquiry, and a lecturer in engineering said to me, "Hold on a minute. We were always taught that when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Now you're telling us to forget that and make assumptions?" He was right, of course. When you're looking at solving engineering problems or getting all the facts to design something, you need to look at it objectively. But human beings are quite different from inanimate machines or systems. As we saw when we looked at the positive principle, you can't gather information from a system that involves human beings without affecting the system that you're observing. In practice, this means you tend to get what you're looking for. If you ask questions about problems, you'll get a lot of information about problems, and the person you're asking to think about problems will probably end up thinking there are more problems than they were previously aware of. Remember also that because of our inbuilt negative bias, asking objective questions will most likely turn up problems rather than things that are working, because that's what we're wired to notice more. So to find what's working, we have to ask questions that assume there's something to find. Our assumptions shape the words that come out of our mouths, without us having to consciously choose them. So if we presuppose that there are good things to find, that belief will be reflected in the questions that we ask, and consequently in the thoughts of the interviewee when their minds get to work on answering our questions. The initial questions in an appreciative interview will probably be scripted, crafted to relate to the affirmative topic. After that, you're in a conversation, and the questions you ask will be guided by where the conversation goes. Don't worry about or overthink the wording of your follow-up questions. If you assume that there's something working, and that no matter how bad things have got, there will have been some best experiences, you will automatically word your follow-up questions in an appreciative way, and even your body language will be encouraging and supportive. Following on from that, remember from the simultaneity principle that the inquiry is the intervention. You're not just gathering data. The questions you ask impact the emotional state of the interviewee and the ongoing, ever-changing image they have of the organization and the change process. Just asking positively focused questions can change the way that the interviewee thinks and feels about the team or the organization. The conversation that follows may also change the emotional state of the interviewer, and consequently, the way they look at the world. Why? Because of emotional resonance, or emotional contagion, the way in which our brains pick up on the emotions of others, as expressed in their words, facial expressions, body language, and voice tone, and allow themselves to be influenced. This isn't looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. It's more redressing the balance and reminding us of positives that we may have forgotten or shoved to the back of our minds. You've probably already picked up that the way you ask the questions is as important as the wording. Those non-verbal elements of your communication, voice tone, body language, the surroundings in which you do the interview, form a meta-message which influences people's emotional state and shapes their expectations about the value and genuineness of the exercise. When you're genuinely focused and interested, the interviewee will experience being fully heard and understood, and empathy will develop rapidly. How do you give the right meta-message? Firstly, be 100% present for that person. Be interested in them. Give them your full attention. They will certainly notice, unconsciously if not consciously, if your mind is elsewhere. Secondly, as we've said, assume that there is useful information there to be found, and that some things are already working. Thirdly, you wouldn't ask a question like this in a bored-sounding monotone. Now tell me about a time when you felt really energized, really excited, and fully engaged in your work. Instead, you need to embody the state you want the interviewee to be in. Engaged, energized, interested. Don't be so energized that you intimidate or lose rapport with the interviewee. Rather, start by matching their energy levels, be 100% interested in them, and let your unconscious mind do the rest. Another thing to remember is that you're after stories, not opinions or analysis. You want the interviewee to be reliving the experiences they're talking about and telling you what they thought and felt at the time, rather than examining them in a detached way and telling you what they think about them now. This way you'll get genuine rapport and trust developing, and you'll get genuine experiences rather than the official line or what the interviewee thinks you want to hear. Next time, I'll share a business-friendly format for doing appreciative interviews. Thanks for listening to the Positive Change Methods podcast with me, Andy Smith. You can find the show notes at positivechangemethods.com. Please like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you like this episode, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you can review it. See you next time.